So I'm sitting here in a clump of lovely little perennial herbs. So we're going to have a closer look at this one. You can see there's a few different sizes. And yeah, they're kind of all around me here. So if we have a closer look at this one right in front of me, the first thing we can notice about it is that it has these long parallel veins that are very distinct. So we know that puts it into the lily family. It also has a fairly long and lance-shaped leaf with a very long pointed tip. So this is to help the water run off of the leaf. If you rub your finger across it, maybe you can even hear, it's got a very slightly fuzzy texture to it. And let's see if we can focus in on the branch there. Maybe? There we go. So you can see the margin, so the edge of the leaves, and the branch themselves are actually a little bit hairy. So that's a distinctive trait. Another thing we can notice about it is that it has branches. So we have major changes in direction on this plant. It isn't all one simple plain stalk. We've got distinct branching points. So if you took just one part of this off of the plant, that would make it harder to identify later. The fact that we're looking at the whole habit and that it has branching pattern in it is an important trait for identifying this plant. One thing we can do too is flip over the leaves and get a little surprise. So this one's actually in bloom right now. You can see the little flower there. So it's a little white bell-shaped flower, and one of them is still in bloom and the other one's been pollinated and has dropped its petals. So later on these will turn into a slightly fuzzy red berry. And you can notice a couple things about this flower is that it's in twos. There's two of them together. So usually you'll find this flower in pairs. Sometimes you'll find one, sometimes you'll find three. But usually you'll see them in pairs, and same with the fruit. Also look at the stalk of the flower. It is straight, it does not have a kink in it. So that's an important trait to notice. Sometimes people get this plant confused with clasping twisted stalk or twisted stalks. So if you look closely at the leaf base, you'll see that the leaves are slightly clasping around the stem. But the twisted stalk doesn't come from, the name doesn't come from this, where the stalks of the leaves are zigzagging. It comes from the flower stalk. So this flower stalk is straight, so we know it's not a twisted stalk. Twisted stalks, the flower has a bend or a little kink in the flower stalk itself. So what we're looking at here is a hooker's fairy bells. Or a Disporum hookerii. So the main traits of this one to notice are the overall shape and branching pattern and the paired bell flowers that are not kinked, and the fact that it's slightly fuzzy as well. I also feel like the stems themselves are a little more brown and a little more woody than some of the other lily plants, but that's a personal observation. So yeah, these are really pretty, fairly common in a understory forest kind of area.